Okay, we're getting straight into this one. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to everybody watching. We have heavyweight specialist, guru, Uncle James Bashir in the house, live and exclusive now, only on BWTM Sports. Uncle, how are we doing?
Everything is good. I'm glad to be alive. Happy that my health is great, so I'm good.
It's good to always be here. It's always an honor and a pleasure to talk with you. Heavyweights is what you specialize in.
Huh?
Heavyweights is what you specialize in.
That's what I specialize in. Yeah.
And last night there was a heavyweight bout that there was lots talked about. In fact,
I think for the most part that I might be the best heavyweight trainer in the world currently. Currently, I think I'm the best heavyweight trainer in the world today.
Last night, TREVOR Bryant defended his WBA heavyweight championship of the world against Daniel Dubois. There was lots of talk. Larry Holmes was in camp. Rick Bowe was in camp. Stacey McKinley told us they no stone was left unturned. They had a hypnotist in their house. They had everything, strength and conditioning trainer. TREVOR Bryant was ready, and I'm gobsmacked. I'm like, my jaws left open. I'm like, what the hell is this? Everything that we talked about.
I've told you and then the people in the listening audience before. All of that doesn't mean a single thing when you can't carry it over into the fight. Strength and conditioning coaches, hypnotists, this and that. At the end of the day, you've got to be willing to fight and be able to fight. TREVOR Bryant looked like a fish out of water last night.
TREVOR Bryant looked like a guy who'd just been pulled out of the audience, who'd didn't know anything about boxing. That's what he looked like last night.
That's exactly what he looked like. I know that Stacey McKinley was disillusioned. TREVOR Bryant had his big chance to make an impression on the world stage, and he blew it. He blew it miserably. But I told you that I expected him to be stopped inside of anywhere from 7 to 9 rounds, simply because he had never been on that world stage. You know, world stage. When I say world stage, I mean mentally and physically. He had not been in that kind of atmosphere, you know, where he can get that kind of work. And it showed in the fight versus Dubois.
I'm stunned. Like, we heard about this jab. I expected him to come up behind a higher held guard, double up the jab, push Dubois back. You know, you're in Miami, you're in your home. You know, you're the WBA heavyweight champion of the world. There's some pride.
He didn't even challenge Dubois with his jab.
I didn't understand that. I couldn't understand.
He threw very, very few jabs. There was nothing that said that he had worked on perfecting a jab.
Why is that? Why is that?
Hey, you know, you study your lines in rehearsal, and then when he got on the world stage, we know when the orator said speak, he said to be, and Stacey McKinley was in the background saying, or not to be, or not to be, or not to be.
Oh no!
Stacey McKinley was saying, or not to be. He was saying the lines for him, but TREVOR Bryant wasn't capable of saying the lines. The one thing that I learned from Lennox Lewis during the time that I worked with him, and Lennox was a wise man because Lennox always listened to me. Me and Lennox would have intimate conversations inside the training camp, one-on-one intimate conversations. Vladimir Klitschko and I would have one-on-one conversations. And those two guys always listened I would explain different things to them. I would say different things to them and say, you know, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to try. This is what you need to apply here in the training camp, and then take it over into the fight. And I didn't see that in Trevor Bryant. I know Stacey McKinley prepared him better, you know, oratively, but it's up to him to carry it over into the fight. And he looked stymied out there. He looked awestruck in the ring. Dubois went about his business, you know, taking charge. He took charge from the opening round. He took charge. And what Trevor Bryant was waiting for was beyond me.
I titled my video how to get knocked out by Daniel Dubois, starring Trevor Bryant. That was the video I titled. I mean, he was giving you a step-by-step guide of how to get knocked out by Daniel Dubois. He did all the things. Stand in front of Daniel Dubois, don't throw the jab, allow Daniel Dubois to dictate the fight. He did one thing, Trevor Bryant, in the fight. He threw one jab, and when it did connect, Dubois backed up. But Bryant didn't do anything. He just looked at him. Dubois actually gave ground when actually Bryant threw the jab of like, okay, you've got him backing up. Now what? He just stood and looked at him. And I'm thinking to myself, you're the heavyweight champion of the world. You're fighting in America. You talk about you want to go and fight Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua.
Usyk.
And Usyk. Are you dreaming or what? What was the preparation in camp? Who were they sparring with?
The one thing, like I said, that I learned from Vladimir Klitschko and Lennox Lewis, they brought in the best sparring partners that money could buy. That's how you prepare for a showdown for the championship of the world. You don't avoid people. You bring in the best and the top guns into a training camp. You figure Vladimir Klitschko had Anthony Joshua there. He had Philip Ergovic there. You understand? He had Deontay Wilder there. He brought in the top guys. He had Michael Hunter there. He brought in the top guns of the heavyweight division, young guys. Mind you, when Vladimir Klitschko was boxing these guys, Vladimir Klitschko was much older than those guys. Lennox Lewis did the same thing under the guidance of Emanuel Stewart. He brought in the best sparring partners, guys that was going to try to take his head off, and he paid for that. They both paid for that. But when you're trying to cut corners to save money or whatever the case might be,
it looked to me that he didn't do any sparring, or any sparring he was doing was sparring with guys who was beating up in sparring. There's no way you can sit down and look me in the eye and tell me he was doing hard sparring. Or if he was doing hard sparring, he got knocked out in sparring, lost his confidence. That's the only other thing I can possibly it could come down to. Your thoughts?
My thoughts are, you know, put him in with the best guys out there. You know?
Yeah.
And perhaps he didn't. Perhaps he didn't do that. I told Stacey McKinley to bring in Vlad Sirenko, because Vlad Sirenko would have work that he needed to prepare for Dubois. I told Stacey McKinley that he had boxed Dubois, that Vlad Sirenko had been in the ring with Dubois, and Joe Joyce, and Stavern, and Michael Hunter, and Tony Yoka. Everybody that you can imagine in the top heavyweight division right now, my guy has been in there with him, and we'll get back in there with him. Just pay us. Pay us what we're worth. You know, pay us to come into the training camp. You know, if my guy's gonna take punishment, all right, and give punishment, mind you, Vlad Sirenko is not the kind of guy that's gonna go in there and be a sparring partner and just take. When you dish out the punishment, you gotta be willing to take the punishment back, because Vlad Sirenko is a top guy. In my thinking, Vlad Sirenko is in the top 15 fighters in the world right now. From what I see, from what I see about the top guys that's out there right now, Vlad Sirenko definitely fits into the top 15 fighters in the world right now.
I was talking about Vlad Sirenko earlier on in my show, and I've seen you the video. I was talking about guys that Vlad Sirenko could potentially fight now. And I thought there was a couple of names. I brought Gerald Washington out as a name.
Yes.
I threw out potentially Carlos Takam if you wanted to jump the heavyweight rankings now. It'd be a tough fight, Takam, but I think it'd be a good fight, particularly with Sirenko's left hook. I think he I think it's a good styles match up there, and Takam's, without being disrespectful, he's at the back end of his career.
Not only that, his left hook. The fact of the matter is that Vlad Sirenko has become a world-class boxer. He can box.
Mm-hmm.
He can box. And he has a lethal right hand. So he's learning the logistics of how to be a big-time heavyweight. But he's not going to get caught in the like deer in headlights. He's going to fight. You know, when Vlad Sirenko steps up to the plate, he's going to fight. I can depend on that. That's why the last 5 years in Vlad Sirenko, because I know that what he's going to do when he gets in that ring.
But the reason why you can have that confidence is because you're sparring top heavyweights. You're not hiding your fighter. You're not giving him soft pushovers in sparring. So you know what your fight is about. So when he comes to the big time, you know he's been there. He's not going to be fazed by fighting any of the top heavyweights because he's been there working with them already. It's not a surprise to him.
Vlad Sirenko is prepared to fight with the top heavyweights in the world right now. I told Stacey McKinley, bring us into the camp, because Vlad Sirenko would have lit a fire under Trevor Bryant in that training camp. But I don't know why they never even mentioned it. You know, they never mentioned it, and as a result, he lost the title.
Well, Stacey opened up on our show and he said that when Larry Holmes was in camp, Larry Holmes offered. He said, you know, he wanted to take Bryant on the pads, and Stacey said, no, I'm the only one who looks after Trevor Bryant. You can talk to him all you want, but you can't do anything on the pads with him.
Well, that's an opportunity missed.
And what would you have done if Larry Holmes said he wanted to do the pads with Vlad Sirenko?
It's no harm to me. I think that Vlad Sirenko could only benefit from Larry Holmes, the Larry Holmes, taking my guy on the pads. It would be an honor. No problem. Not a problem at all. You know, you've been in the training camp with me and Vlad Sirenko. You saw what I think about somebody else holding the pads for Vlad Sirenko.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't intimidate me at all. It doesn't move me. It doesn't bother me, because I know at the end of the day, in that ring, that Vlad Sirenko and I have a camaraderie in the corner where my words influence his actions. All right? Yeah. My words influence his actions. So anybody can work the pass with him, but the pass is not the fight. You can do all of the pads you want. As soon as you get hit in your mouth, all of that shit goes out the window. As soon as you get around the ribs, with one of those bolo punches around the ribs, all of that shit goes out the window. It's not it's about execution. Getting behind the jab and set up your artillery with the right hand, with the left hooks, the uppercuts, and the infighting. It's so many more things to boxing other than pads, and people with so much stock into pad work. It's bull. It's bull to me.
Of course it is. Uncle Dubois, I mean, for me, he looked still vulnerable. He looked open through the middle. He looked open. You could have hit Dubois with every shot in the book because he didn't look like he had any form of defense. But Trevor Bryant did not take advantage of that on the night. Your thoughts?
I don't want to make any assessment of Dubois. You know, he's a target now. We'd like to fight him. That's the name of the game. Whoever has the belt, they become a target for every top heavyweight division.
So would you stick Vlad Sirenko with him?
Huh?
Would you stick Vlad Sirenko with Dubois?
Tomorrow. I put Vlad Sirenko in with him tomorrow.
You wouldn't think twice about it.
No, absolutely not. You know, it'll be a good test for both guys, you know. But I'd like to put Vlad Sirenko with Dubois ASAP.
Wow. So is that a call out, Uncle? Sirenko versus Dubois.
You know, like I said, the guy with the belt becomes a target. There's some things I think that Dubois has to work on, and before he works on them, I'd like to get him in the ring with that belt.
So that's a fight you'd lick your lips at.
Yes, undoubtedly. If they want, you know, somebody that's unknown and you know, looking for a soft touch, then they want Vlad Sirenko. Bring us in. Let us be that soft touch.
Okay, Uncle. So let's talk about another heavyweight. August 20th, I believe, Saudi Arabia. The return of the Mac, Anthony Joshua versus Oleksandr Usyk. Now, coming out of Camp Joshua, there's big talk about Mexican style, and Robert Garcia is going to bring the Mexican out of Anthony Joshua. Your thoughts?
Is that what they said?
Yeah, Mexican style. Yeah, he's going to bring that aggressive Mexican style to Anthony Joshua.
Well, like I said, styles make fights. I think that the Mexican style will not suit Anthony Joshua versus Oleksandr Usyk, because Usyk is such a fox out there. You know, he's such a fox out there. There are approaches, there are effective ways to fight Oleksandr Usyk, but just pushing forward and trying to do an overall paint job on him, I don't think that's a good look. It would. I'd approach that fight with a much different strategy, as Oleksandr Usyk is one of the best boxers, if not the best boxer in the heavyweight division today.
Uncle, there's talk about Oleksandr Usyk looking thinner. He's not in the shape he was when he first fought Joshua. People are concerned that, you know, because of the war and that's been going in Ukraine, that Usyk's going to come in maybe lighter. He's not going to be in the best shape. He might get blown out by Joshua. He might not be as professional. There's lots of money coming for DAZN, so maybe he will offer his belts up for money. Can you give us thoughts on that, knowing that the man that Usyk is?
Well, knowing Oleksandr Usyk the way that I've learned him, like I said, I spent 3 years working very closely with him, and not only did I get to know the boxer, I got to know the style. I got to know the man, and I can tell you right now, Oleksandr Usyk is not going to sell his belts. He's not that kind of guy. Oleksandr Usyk is a very proud Ukrainian, very, very patriotic, very home endearing kind of guy. He's not going to sell the belts to anybody. I think Oleksandr Usyk is going to fight until he's knocked out. I think he's going to fight till his death. I think he'll be prepared mentally. I think he'll be prepared physically, knowing the Usyk that I've known over the years. So I would not rely on that kind of information, that kind of psychic coming out of the Usyk camp. No, I think it's a ploy just to distract Anthony Joshua. And Anthony Joshua would be a complete fool to bite into that kind of stuff. If Oleksandr Usyk said that he's coming to fight in Saudi Arabia or down the street, you can bet your ass he's coming to fight. He's coming to take your head. So if they want to rest on their laurels of the fact that he won't be prepared because of the war or anything else, if Oleksandr Usyk took himself away from the war to prepare for a boxing match, I'd prepare for that boxing match.
Question: would a smaller ring help Joshua at all against Usyk?
What?
A smaller ring.
Certainly. Certainly, I think it would be a benefit to Anthony Joshua to have a smaller ring. But the fact of the matter is that Oleksandr Usyk is the heavyweight champion, so he's going to dictate the size of that ring.
Mm-hmm.
Oleksandr Usyk dictate the size of the ring. Now, if Anthony Joshua did not do that in the first fight, then that's his problem.
Okay.
But Usyk is in the driver's seat now, and the champion is going to dictate the size of the ring.
Okay.
I think that if he had a smaller ring, it would benefit Anthony Joshua. But most likely, Usyk is going to have a 20 by 20 or 22 by 22.
Okay. The question is, will Usyk be going for the KO? I believe he will be going for the KO in this fight.
Yeah, I think that Usyk is going for the KO. I thought that from the very time that they decided to make this fight, I thought that he would go for the KO, and I still think he's going to go for the KO.
Do you know what? I think that round 12 was the real Oleksandr Usyk. Round 12 was the real Oleksandr Usyk. For 11 rounds, I think he was kind of like watching Joshua. And for the 12th round is where he said, right, let me put my foot down and let me see what you can take. And he put his foot down. And as he put his foot down and put the combination together, Joshua was against the ropes and could have been stopped. That 12th round, I always look at that 12th round and think, he had another gear there. He had another gear there.
I saw some vulnerabilities also in the 7th round too. And if the corners knew just what to look for, I saw some vulnerabilities. I saw some holes in Anthony Joshua's application of those rounds. I saw some vulnerabilities there, you know. But the one thing about being a boxing trainer, the boxing trainer's got to know what to look for. All right? They've got to know what to look for. And a lot of times the so-called trainers, they don't know what to look for. They're just out there shouting, throw the hook, fire the jab, double up on your jab, hook out the counter punch. You know, the things that you can't go wrong saying. But those things don't always apply. You know, you always hear somebody saying, counter punch. When he jabs, go the right hand counter. Come back with the left hook. You know, counter with this, counter with that. Do this, do that, do that. But they miss making observations during the rounds that they're boxing to make the boxer know when the opponent is vulnerable. And a lot of times, these people miss those vulnerabilities. For instance, I had Oleksandr Usyk boxing Thabiso Munchuno from South Africa in his first title defense. And Usyk wanted to bang it out. He wanted to bang it out with Munchuno. He felt that he could bang it out with him, but that wasn't a wise approach because Thabiso Munchuno was a very crafty, very clever southpaw out of South Africa. You know, he's very, very slick, very, very crafty, very, very resourceful. So I said, no, wait him out. Just box with him. Move, box. You know, much of the same application as I did with when Usyk won the title from the southpaw in Poland, Glowacki. And in doing so, I made observations about Munchuno's style, his energy. So I said, no, we might get in a fight like that. And I'm always conscious of cuts, headbutts. And Munchuno has that kind of style that anything can happen because he's a slick, you know, acrobatic like fighter. You know, he's bending, he's bobbing. But there are certain things in the fight that let me know that Munchuno was ready to be had. There were certain things that he did, certain observations that I made during those rounds they were boxing, and after those rounds they were boxing. There were certain things that Munchuno was starting to do that let me know that now. And if you look at the fight between Thabiso Munchuno versus Oleksandr Usyk for the for the first defense, you'll see me in the corner and I'll tell Usyk, okay, now you can go get him. Because I made those observations. I didn't say why I made those observations. I told Usyk, okay, now is the time. Let's go get him now. Because there are different things that were happening during those rounds that let me know as the trainer that now is the time to take him. Now is the time most vulnerable. Now's the time that he's going to be right there for those shots. And thereafter, Usyk knocked him out.
There is one thing about Anthony Joshua I've noticed, that when he gets hit, he's not the best at hiding it. And when he gets hit and he gets hurt, he doesn't quite know what to do. He's in that no man's land.
Observations for the teachers, which there's not many of in boxing today. There are a lot of trainers out there, but there are not very many teachers. All right. Most of the top trainers, they come in when the boxer is already ready to come out. When he's a finished product and he's ready to come out the oven, that's where most of the trainers come in now. But once they come in, they assume that the boxer is top flight. They assume that they can give their dogma, their teachings to the boxer at that time, and he'll be able to take it in and act on it. But that's not always the case. When I go to work with a boxer, I tear down the information. Most of the information there, I tear it down. I debunk it because I look at it and I see different things that's wrong with it. All right? Then I work with boxers now, and there's always another trainer telling the boxer, well, do this or well, do that. I don't know why. They'll tell the boxer to do this. They'll tell the boxer to do that. But many times it's wrong. And I'll tell the boxer, no, forget that. Throw it out the window. Throw it out the window. And I begin dissecting the boxer's his habits. You know, his habits, his what he thought he knew. No. A lot of the stuff that the so-called trainers are teaching the boxers now is wrong. And I know that there are 1,000 trainers in the audience, in the listening audience, that said, well, who am I? Who am I to say so? I'm James Ali Bashir. And I'm qualified. I'm qualified to say what's wrong and what's right. I'm in a position. September will be 53 years. 53, 54, 53 or 54. Wow. I've been in the saddle. I've trained boxers for that amount of time. So show me some respect, just a little respect. I'm not saying a lot of respect. You're not apt to do it anyway, but show me some respect for the years that I put into this profession. And I've learned. I've made my mistakes. I think that people who don't make mistakes in boxing and in life, well, those people haven't lived. They haven't tried anything. If you don't make no mistakes, if you can't look back on your career and on your life and say, and look back on the mistakes you made, then how can you have grown? You can only grow if you make mistakes and say, I made a mistake. I can't go down that route no more. I can't go down that route no more. So yeah, I'm qualified. And I see a lot of things wrong with the boxing trainers that's out there in the world today. I can see so many things wrong. But I don't say nothing because I got to use that as my defense against those guys.
Right. Shook One says there are 1,000 trainers, but there are even 20. Are there even 20 mentors among them today? This is a really crucial issue when it comes to taking fighters from one level to the next.
He's right. He's right. Because these guys stick their chests out when their guy wins. But in reality, they're only showing their insecurity. You know, they never allude to the fact that, damn, I've got some work to do with this guy. damn, he's not doing this right. He's not doing that right. I've got work to do. I guess Vlad Sirenko says about myself, what can I do right? I tell Vlad all the time, I said, you got this right, but you're not getting that right. You got to get this better. You got to make that better. You got to do this. You got to do this. It's always another stone to unturn in the development of young Vlad Sirenko.
Okay, Uncle. I'm going to have to cut you short today, but we'll have to come back and do as part 2 of this. But your final thoughts about Trevor Bryant, Anthony Joshua, and the heavyweight division today?
They said Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall, and Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. And all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put old Humpty back
together again.
You use crazy glue. Once the egg is broken, you could put crazy glue, monster glue. You can do everything you can to put the boxer back together. But he will never, ever, ever be the same as he was before the egg broke.
Mm-hmm.
So, you understand?
Yep.
They'll never be the same once they get cracked. All right? Once they get cracked and get hurt, they'll never be the same. So what the trainers, with the teachers has to do is develop a wall around those insecurities where nobody but the trainer and the boxer knows about those insecurities. Not even people in the training camp should know. It should be the trainer. It should be the trainer, and it should be the boxer that knows about those insecurities and build a wall around that, and don't let nobody in.
Robert Garcia that admitted that Anthony Joshua has a mental problem. Should he be saying things like that?
No, he shouldn't have said it. No, he shouldn't have said that.
It's not clever, is it?
No, it's not clever at all. It's something that you talk in private. You don't go to the world and say that he has mental problems. That was wrong.
That's amateurish.
What is Robert Garcia? 40 something years old?
Yeah.
It's to be expected. Robert Garcia is 47 years old, right around the corner from being one of my grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
And so you compare that wisdom, that approach, to my wisdom and my approach. I was training boxers when Robert Garcia was wearing Pampers, and that's one of the things. That's a no-no. You don't even tell Anthony Joshua he has mental problems.
Damn.
Much less the world. You don't even tell Anthony Joshua you got mental problems. You tell Anthony Joshua, your thing, you're the strongest guy in the world, and we're gonna beat the world. You got everything.
He said he can't say on one hand he's the most all-round best heavyweight in the world, and on the other hand, say he's got mental problems. Or he's had a mental problem. I mean,
notice that too. It's contradicting.
God knows what camp that. I don't know.
Why would you say that? For what reason? For what reason would you let the whole world know that Anthony Joshua has mental problems? Anthony Joshua, if you're out there listening, wake up, man. Wake up. You've had me there with you, all right? I know that you listened to some of the things I said, but obviously you didn't listen to all the things I said. Otherwise, I'd be there with you. But you can't have nobody telling the whole world that you got mental problems. No. No. That's a no-no.
Very quickly, just to close, because I don't think it was an amateur mistake. Robert Garcia is like that about every prospective fighter that comes into camp. This can be seen at Robert Garcia's boxing academy. This is his style with every fighter. Uh-oh.
That doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it right. All right? I worked with Emmanuel Stewart for many years, and if Emmanuel Stewart heard somebody tell that Emmanuel Stewart, Emmanuel cut into his ass.
I can imagine. That's just giving the game plan away. You talk about mental mindset of a fighter. To Usyk.
Oleksandr Usyk. the dean of boxing today is Oleksandr Usyk. And you're gonna say that on one hand that he's the best all-around boxer, he's better than Usyk. I think he said Usyk and Fury.
And Fury.
Are you serious? Are you serious? Or are you drinking some kind of alcohol or something?
Ah.
So you don't go out and say on one hand that he's got more talent than Fury and Oleksandr Usyk, and then on the other hand you come back and say, "Oh, he's got mental problems." So,
Uncle,
like I said, if you don't make mistakes, then you haven't lived. You haven't taken chances.
mm-hmm.
Don't make a mistake if you take chances. And Robert Garcia made an error. He made an obvious error in taking those chances. And he made an obvious error in saying that to the public, that on one hand, he's more talented, and then on the other hand, he's got mental problems. Oh, God, no.
No, I can't be doing that.
No.
Mm-mm.
You tell my guy is the best fighter in the world.
And that's that.
And that's that. All right? Get out there and try to beat him. My guy, and I'm going to introduce some new things to my guy that's going to make him even more invulnerable.
That's the one. Uncle, I'm going to have to stop you there. Uncle, thank you so much. And we'll have to do a part 2 on this.
Okay, we can probably catch up maybe tomorrow sometime. We could do part 2.
Sounds good. Uncle Bashir, thank you so much as always. I
Yes.
appreciate your wisdom and your time.
To all the people out there in your listening audience, I'm the premier heavyweight trainer in the world today. There's nobody that does it better than me. Nobody. And if anybody has a record to show, if anybody can show cause that they're better than me, then please come to Ingram. Explain that, no, I'm better than Ali Bashir. Look at Tony Yoka just went down the tubes miserably. And the thing that was shocking was that throughout the fight, there was no adjustments made. There was no adjustments made, which shows you that the corner had no answers. Tony Yoka was out there in the wind by himself. There was no adjustments made.
Uncle, I can hear already. Shane McGuigan, Adam Booth. I can hear the names starting to come out, but we'll leave that for another show. We got to go. Uncle Bashir, thank you so much.
Make note of that there, and we'll address it.
Yeah, we're gonna shut it down once and for all. Uncle Bashir, thank you so much as always.
Those guys are children, so yeah, bring it back.
Uncle, as always, it's always an honor and a pleasure, and we'll catch up with you very soon.
Oh man, you lit a fire, man. Just come on back with us here. We look to do this again tomorrow sometime. God willing.
Absolutely, Uncle. Take care.
Let me go to work. You go to work later.
Absolutely. Take care.